my mate was coughing up chunks of blood and black goo from his lungs. And so we put the masks on for the second time, and that's when we have a wounded guy with us. And we're trying to put the mask on him, and he's taking his sort of last sort of breaths, and then he passed away from that.
They also use chloropicrin, which is an incapacitant. Now, it's far too lethal to be used as a riot control agent. Nobody uses it as a riot control agent. It will absolutely kill you.
It's been 2 weeks, give or take 2 weeks now since we got hit. And every now and then I just feel like my lung is collapsing and I want to rip my rib cage open to breathe properly. And that would last probably 20, 30 minutes.
So we're very privileged in Times Radio Frontline to have an interview that Jimmy Rushton has carried out with a Ukrainian soldier who needs to remain anonymous. But it's his personal experiences about the use of Russian chemical weapons on the front line, in particular what we think was chloropicrin, which is an incapacitant agent. This interview is fascinating.
Can you please tell me in your own words your experience with encountering chemical weapons on the line?
It's every single one of us in our platoon have been gassed at this point. My experience from it was there are 6 of us in a blindage, 2 are Trista, or 2 are wounded, and we're getting hit by artillery and skids for 2 days straight. All of a sudden, one comes in, we're all taking cover in the corner of the blindage. I'm standing at the door listening, and hear the drone hovers for maybe 2 minutes, so we know it's going to drop. Hear the sound, but then it was only a small explosion, so we're quite happy about that. Then we noticed maybe 5 minutes later, this smell starts creeping in, and it's this paprika-y, so it kind of smells like paprika and mustard, and we're doing the test, and then Ukrainian with us all of a sudden goes wide-eyed sort of thing, and we all he's like, gas, 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 and we put our masks on. I'm not sure, I think it was like a CO2 gas, some type of derivative, but after those few sniffs, we could all feel in our chests, quite tight sort of thing. There was a second one that we couldn't see this gas either, but that was the thing. The second gas attack was the skid dropped something again, and there was this huge cloud of smoke that came billowing in. We didn't think it was gas at first, and I had a coughing fit from it. That's when we decided to put the gas masks on again. This was at the same time. It had a similar kind of smell to it, but we couldn't really smell because it was just felt like it just burnt the nose. And then my mate was coughing up chunks of blood and black goo from his lungs. And so we put the masks on for the second time, and that's when we have a wounded guy with us, and we're trying to put the mask on him, and he's taking his sort of last sort of breaths, and then he passed away from that. But my other friends on positions have also been gassed many times. Same deal. It's always this paprika-y sort of spicy smell. Hits your lungs for maybe 10 seconds. You're kind of going, what's that? Then you start having a coughing fit. It's like you can't breathe through. It's like trying to breathe through a straw that's underwater. And if you freak out, that's when you just drop and collapse, sort of thing. But if you can keep yourself calm and really try and breathe as best as you can while you're getting the mask on, it's okay. Yeah.
So, your unit experienced a fatality from one of the gas attacks.
It led to his death, but he was wounded from something else. He had his right leg almost blown off, but the gas definitely didn't help him.
Okay. And you said that when you've experienced one of these gas attacks in the aftermath, you feel severe lung irritation, and that you can experience, months of symptoms afterwards from just a brief exposure to this gas. Can you just explain that in your own terms?
Well, I'm still getting it. It's been 2 weeks, give or take 2 weeks now since we got hit. And every now and then I just feel like my lung is collapsing and I want to rip my rib cage open to breathe properly. And that would last probably 20, 30 minutes. And then it passes. I definitely I had an x-ray done and my lungs are slightly inflamed and possibly bruised as well. But I've got short breath. I've noticed, like, since the attack to this point now is my breathing. I don't normally take deep breaths down here. I've been breathing a lot up here, lots of short breaths, and I think that's what's taxing my system at the moment for recovery. I had another friend on position. He got hit by gas, lost consciousness twice from it, and had to be resuscitated by another friend, and he's still suffering from his lung problems at the moment, but he's still on position.
And you say that the majority of these chemical weapons are deployed via drones, which in Ukrainian military parlance are called skeets, right?
Well, that was just from our experience. They can be launched from artillery as well, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. No problem. So essentially, everyone that you know has either experienced a gas attack themselves or has one of their friends, one of their squad mates that's experienced gas. Could you just explain that in your own words? Because it's important for people to hear that.
Out of 26 people in our platoon, every single one of them has been gassed at some point. The description of the straw underwater was from my friend, my other Australian friend, who got 300. He was gassed in a blindage with 4 other people that were also wounded as well. They also tried to burn him out with thermite, but they didn't detonate, which was lucky.
And the typical Russian tactic, if I understand correctly, is to use chemical weapons in order to flush Ukrainians out of their foxholes, their blindages, correct?
Yes.
Where they will hit them with other weapons, drone drops, mortars, what have you.
Yeah, just to get them out in the open so they can try and schwack us in the tree lines and the pasatkas, because in the blindage you can get hit for, we got hit for days and we were fine, but if we had that same level of attention and if we were caught out in the open, we'd all be dead 100%.
And in Third Assault, the majority of people have gas masks, is that correct?
Yeah, we're all issued gas masks.
But that's not true for other Ukrainian units.
No, not that I've heard.
Okay. So it sounds pretty important that Western countries start supplying large numbers of gas masks and other CBRN equipment, correct? Because it sounds like it's quite an effective tactic against troops that don't have gas masks.
Especially if there's wounded with them as well. Trying to transport a wounded guy while in a gas mask, he already can't breathe as well. And if he's, say, got something injured with his leg and he can't walk, it's a nightmare sort of thing.
You did a fantastic interview with a Ukrainian soldier who had been was suffering from the after effects of chemical weapons that the Russians had been dropping on his position. And it seems that there are increasing reports of the Russians dropping banned chemical weapons. Now, these are irritants designed to flush the Ukrainians out of their defensive positions into the open so that they can be attacked either by artillery or by drones. Can you give us an understanding for how prolific this is? What is it that you picked up talking to them, and what is it that Ukraine can do to defend against it?
Yeah, so I first covered this story back in 2024 for the Telegraph, and I did an investigation which included recovering Russian chemical weapon from the Frontline, which was a CS gas grenade. Now, you're right; they do generally use either irritants or incapacitants. The two major agents that they use is CS gas, which is classed as a riot control agent, but is banned under the Chemical Weapon Convention to be used in wartime. They also use chloropicrin, which is an incapacitant. Now, it's far too lethal to be used as a riot control agent. Nobody uses it as a riot control agent. It will absolutely kill you if you stay in a confined space and it fills with chloropicrin. You will almost certainly die. There are other agents that I've heard that have been used, although I haven't been able to confirm this. I will also add that both the Dutch, the Danish, and the US governments have confirmed that they've used chloropicrin in recent intelligence assessment.
Yeah, I've seen those reports and talked to chemical weapons experts about them. So that's the particularly worrying one, because, as you say, it's supposed to be less than lethal, but it's lethal in the concentrations if you don't evacuate from the areas very quickly.
So chloropicrin is not a riot control agent. I think this distinction needs to be made. CS, you're absolutely right. It is less lethal. It's a riot control agent. It's used by police forces all around the world, including in Northern Ireland. Although not on the mainland in the UK, funny enough. But chloropicrin is not. Chloropicrin is classed as an incapacitant, and it's a choking agent as well, and it's incredibly nasty. It will cause long-term lung damage. This is not a chemical that would ever be used for riot control purposes. So I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, they're just using tear gas." That's not true. I've also heard credible reports, that they've used lewisite. I've heard credible reports. This is from an intelligence intercept, that they're using phosgene in small quantities. I've heard credible reports that they are using something which caused, and I'm directly quoting my source in the Ukrainian military, it caused death in a very short period, and the victims of this particular agent had pinpoint pupils, which is something you would recognize as one of the main symptoms of being exposed to a organophosphate nerve agent. So, but to be clear, this is not something I can, definitively say has happened, but that the event happened, but I can't say that it was definitively that agent that was used. But it's the most important thing is that this is a systematic campaign. Everyone that I've spoken to either has been gassed themselves or has one of their comrades in arms that's been gassed. So it's systematic. It's clearly been ordered from the Russian military hierarchy, and it's effective, unfortunately. That's the reason why they do it. It's because it's effective at driving Ukrainian soldiers out of their foxholes and then killing them with other weapons.
Well, for those that are watching, just so they know, chloropicrin was one of the first, if not the first, chemical weapon that the Germans used during the First World War to good effect. And you've mentioned lewisite and phosgene. Those are other weapons that were used there, but chloropicrin was used to good effect during the First World War. You've been watching Frontline with me, Philip Ingram. If you'd like access to exclusive content, please subscribe to Times Radio membership and watch us on YouTube. But you can now get us as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And don't forget, you can also listen to Times Radio for the latest updates on global affairs and read about them at thetimes.com. Thank you.